It is my pleasure to introduce Gary Locke today. Oh, that's right. That's right. It's the Mayor, Doug Ma, and it really actually is an honor to have the opportunity to introduce you to him today before his program. I have some a script that was prepared for me. I'm sure the Mayor will appreciate my sticking to that, which I will at the beginning of my remarks, and then I'll make a couple of closing remarks afterwards. Doug was first elected to the City Council in 2001 and took office that year. Doug is the second person of color to serve on the City Council and was re-elected to a second term in 2005. In 2007, he was elected mayor and is the first person of Chinese American descent to serve as mayor of the capital city. A native Washingtonian, Doug moved to Olympia in 1989 to accept a job with the State Office of Financial Management. Following graduation from Western Washington University, Doug has a bachelor's degree in sociology, criminal justice, with a master's degree in sociology demography. He has held positions in state government as a research, policy, and budget analyst, and Doug is currently employed as a policy manager with the State Department of Information Services.
Enjoying it.
Yeah, and enjoying it. Yeah, staying in Floyd, one hopes, I guess. Prior to taking office, Doug served on the Timberland Regional Library Board of Trustees, the Olympia Policing Advisory Committee, and as president of the Woodfield Neighborhood Association. Doug currently volunteers as the on the nonprofit board of directors for the Thurston County Food Bank, as well as United Way of Thurston County. Doug is also a member of the Olympia Kiwanis Club and the Olympia Thurston County Chamber of Commerce. Doug and his wife and daughter live in Southeast Olympia. Doug enjoys reading, hiking, biking, and cross-country skiing. Prior to running for public office, Doug played drums with the Blues Torpedoes, a local blues band. And yes, their locally recorded CDs are still available. Rush down to any Timberland Regional Library where you can, where you can check them out. So that concludes the prepared remarks. I wanted to take just a moment to make a couple of non-prepared remarks. It's been my good fortune to serve with Doug for the past 4 years, and not only have I come to respect him very much as a mayor, but I've come to consider him a friend as well. Doug is a remarkable personality, and we've been very fortunate to have all of his years of service. A few things that you might not know about Doug in general. Let me back up. Doug is an ethical, clever politician. No, the truth is Doug is somebody that we all owe a great deal of gratitude. All right, I'm going back to my off-the-cuff remarks. We're going to hear about a lot of things that have happened over the past number of years during Doug's presentation, and a lot of things that this community and this city can be proud of. One thing you won't hear Doug say very much during his remarks are, I did this or I did that. Doug has very much filled a position of leadership in what I consider to be a true leadership fashion. He has led from behind the scenes, encouraging his colleagues and the staff to reach and accomplish things on behalf of our city. And as I mentioned, he is a brilliant tactician and really anticipated the needs of our community, particularly as we face this difficult economic time, and worked very hard to position the city well so that we could weather this economy as best as we possibly could and be in a position to come out of this recession when it finally ends in a strong position. And that is something that I think is not well known about the mayor and the leadership that he's brought to us, is how hard he has worked behind the scenes to ensure that this community is a great place for all of us to live. Which seems a nice segue into some other things you might not know about Doug. So I'll close with these. Doug loves spreadsheets. You want to get Doug, you need somebody for your board, you need some input, put it in a spreadsheet, send it off, say, hey Doug, could you take a look at this? Loves spreadsheets. He's a whiskey drinker, sour mash. He has his own shovel that he brings to groundbreakings, and I think he actually notches it, but I'm not, I can't get close enough to verify that. Last, perhaps, but not least, Doug has a terrific sense of humor. I certainly would not have been so emboldened to come up here if Doug Worthy, you know, stiff upper lip type. He's not. He's a joy to work with because he is a seriously funny man. So it is with that that I will close, and with a great deal of pleasure that I will give you the best mayor in Olympia over the past 4 years, Doug Mock.
My remarks, I'll be happy to take any questions. So for those of you that thought you were going to be sitting at the back of the room, you're wrong, because I'm going to speak from over here, where hopefully there's a microphone. So thank you very much. I have to tell you that coming here and sitting up, a couple things you learn as mayor. Number one, go where they tell you to go. So I went up there, sat down. 2, speak when you're asked to speak, so that's why we did the inductions. Those are really important things, I think, to keep in mind. And the other thing is to get used to telling people this, kind of do the next slide, but not yet. But one of the things I wanted to acknowledge coming over here today is how many friends and acquaintances there are in this room. So many of you I've known and gotten to know over the last 10 years, and appreciate your service. So many of you were connected in a variety of ways. I have the former city manager there. I'm going, oh, can't say that now. I have a former colleague from the Department of Information Services over here. Going, oh, can't say that now. Got 2 colleagues from the Olympia City Council here. Mayor Pro Tem Bucksbaum's in the back room. Councilmember Ottavelli. I'm going, oh, can't say that now. And then the funny thing today, I was not sure if I was going to be able to make this presentation because I got called for jury duty. And kind of an example of just how small this community still is. As they go through the process of vetting the jurors, you know, do you know anyone here in the jury pool or in the room or anything like that? And I go, yes, Your Honor, I know you. So, because I know the jury, or the judge rather. It's a very small community, and that's one of the things that makes Olympia and Thurston County so great. So I wanted to thank you, first of all, for your service, for the relationships and the partnerships that we have built over the years. And again, to thank you for all the things that Rotary has done and will do going into the future. I've been asked to kind of reflect on my 10 years of service on the Olympia City Council. Paul Knox with United Way had said that, well, we're expecting something really insightful, though. Thinking, okay, this is kind of getting a little bit heavier now, the pressure's on. Give you something witty, something insightful, some reflections about the last 10 years of service. So I'm going to set the bar low in terms of expectations, something I learned from another elected politician. Always set the bar low so you exceed it. So I got some pretty pictures to go through. As was already mentioned, I took office in 2001, was out campaigning a decade ago during 9/11. And for the last 10 years, we have seen some tremendous challenges and some tremendous change, not only in this community, but as a nation. Things have evolved. I think people are more concerned, people are frustrated, there's uncertainty, and there's fear. And we see it not only in this community, but we also see it around the world and in our nation in particular. So it's within that context that I'm going to kind of go through and highlight some things and some of the lessons learned through some of the projects that I've been able to work on your behalf. Let's see. First slide. So again, as I had indicated, I took office in 2001, was campaigning during the earthquake, and one of the first projects that I had a good fortune to be part of, but at the tail end, was the Olympia Yashiro Friendship Bridge. This is a meaningful project. This project was one of those projects that taught me that size matters. That's a funny punchline, you're supposed to laugh. Size matters here because it was a big, meaningful, definitive project. It was more than just a bridge. It was a way for us to connect our community. It was more than just a bridge. It enabled us to demonstrate the values of this community. It was more than just a bridge because it told how we were going to do process, how we were going to do outreach. And in fact, many of the efforts that we have undertaken in downtown Olympia are in part because of this bridge. How we communicate, how we move forward, how we build consensus. This bridge taught me size matters, meaningful projects are really important. Next one. Boulevard road improvements. This was one of those projects that perhaps no one would have ever noticed, except for the City Council said, Boulevard Road should be our #1 priority. We don't care what the funding looks like, we want to do something with Boulevard Road. This one taught me that leadership matters. This is one of those projects that said, you know, if you all pull together and say, this is our #1 project, things happen, and they happen in a good way. This project here, Boulevard and Log Cabin, if you've ever gone through the roundabout there, it makes a world of difference. But this is one of those projects that says, when leaders work together, you can make things happen in an expeditious way. Next slide. Yager Park. This is one of those things out on the west side. Yager Park is both a park, it's a specialty park, it has ball fields and whatnot. It's also a stormwater system. It has been revamped now with stimulus dollars, and we were able to make improvements and add playground equipment. It's one of those things that taught me early on that projects that serve multiple purposes win. You get money for them more quickly, you can leverage investments, and they add meaning. And when you leverage multiple purposes, you get way more stuff out of it than you ever could imagine. This was one of those where we also were able to put people to work. We were able to take federal dollars and invest them in this community in a meaningful way. Next slide. Artesian well improvements. This is something that we did as again, one of those leveraging things in the community, investments in the community. We needed parking for the new city hall. And along with it came an artesian well. The lesson here for me was help those, Councilmember Aravelli, achieve projects that they are interested in working on, even if you don't get it. I didn't get the artesian well because, in fact, I believe in focusing on ways to get clean, potable water through the millions of dollars of investments we make in our own infrastructure. But this was a meaningful project for many people in this community. It was a way to connect to our past. It was a way to bring community together, and the investments that we put into it make it more so. But the lesson here was help others achieve, even if you don't get it. So, Councilmember Aravelli, he got it. It was his project. Many others have worked on it. His efforts. So I didn't get it, but it was a pleasure to help him. He still got it because, you know, listen, water that comes out of a pipe in the middle of downtown, ew! Just so you know, it's tested all the time, it's perfectly safe. I had an occasion done and got a little drinking container of it on the way to city council meetings. But, you know, there's still something about water coming out of a pipe in the diamond parking lot. Next slide. City Hall. This was one of those great projects. It was wonderful to be involved in this. This is one, if I could quote, I think it's Yoda, do, not try. This is one of those projects that has taken our community a long time to get moving. And it was one of those projects that enabled us to reflect the values and our commitment to downtown, our values and commitment to redevelopment and cleaning up brownfields. It was one of those meaningful projects, but it just required leadership for us to say, yes, we are going to build a new city hall. We're going to muster everything we can to make it happen, and it's going to reflect the values of this community. So City Hall is one of those great projects. I think it will revitalize and change downtown along with several other projects. Next, 4th Fire Station. We recently went to the voters twice. One time to ask for the bonds to build the 4th Fire Station and fire training facility, and a second time to raise money so that we could appropriately staff the fire station. The lesson with this project was, one, always communicate the problem to the constituents. Communicate, communicate. Regardless of what your project is, regardless of what type of problem you're trying to address, communicate and build expectation. Here's our problem. Everybody hold your breath for 11 minutes. It's a long time. 11 minutes is too long. We want to have response times in 6 minutes. And this was our solution, and in fact, the statistics are coming out that we are meeting our anticipated response times. Response times are down to 6 minutes. It is a good thing.